Hey, how you guys doing out there today? This is Stefan Jimenez from the Roto Beast team, and I want to give you a preview of what I'm looking at for week 2. I found some good things when I started researching, some things I really like, and I kind of want to just get you a step ahead on this week. This past week, we made a couple bucks. It wasn't a wasted week, but we could have did a lot better if Bell and Johnson both didn't, bust on us. We went down with the ship. They're both highly owned. But man, they killed us. We could have made so much more money. You got, Bell, who just didn't get no carries, no kind of work at all. Like they didn't even want to give him the ball. You got Johnson, who got hurt, at the very beginning of the second half, pretty much. So they both busted on us, and it made it tough for us to cash. We did still find a bunch of money this week. So let's jump into it. As always, if you want to watch our full video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at RotoBeast. And hey, let's go. So we'll start off with the game that I really like a lot. You got the New England Patriots going against the Saints. This game has the highest over and under on the day at a 54.5 over and under, with New England favored by 6.5. Both Brady and Breeze struggled last week. I expect both guys to play a lot better this week, and both of them are going to bounce back. You may never see Brady go another game without throwing a touchdown. It was just a weird week. The Chiefs' defense decided to show up. I think that the Patriots kind of took them lightly, thinking it was going to be an easy win, and they got it handed to them. Breeze, on the other hand, he went against a pretty good defense in the Vikings. His offensive line couldn't block for nothing. He was just getting sacked nonstop. And so, I like Breeze to bounce back this week. This game is going to be in the Dome, where Breeze usually plays better at home. So I definitely think it's going to be a shootout, and I definitely think this game won't disappoint. I think it's going to be high scoring. Both defenses looked such suspect, and so yeah, definitely target this game. Another game I'm really going to be targeting is Green Bay versus Atlanta. They have the second highest over and under with the 53.5 implied total. Atlanta is favored by 2.5. Matt Ryan didn't look good last week. His stats were decent because, he had the one big pass to Hooper. There was like almost 80 yards, kind of patting him a little bit. But he looked off a little bit. And the Bears, they don't have a good defense. So, there was not really too much of an excuse. Julio had, I think 66 yards. It was nothing spectacular. On the other side of the ball, you got Aaron Rodgers. He actually looked pretty good, but he was going against a hard defense in the Seattle Seahawks. I definitely think he's going to improve this week, and I think he's going to have a great game against the Falcons defense, who isn't the best. This is a primetime game, Sunday night, so both quarterbacks are going to try even harder. So I really, really like, a game stack from this game. I would get as many pieces as you can from the New England versus Saints game and the Green Bay versus Atlanta game. Obviously price makes it tough, so just kind of see what kind of value you can dig out from there. Another team I really like is I like the Arizona Cardinals. They were a disappointment last week. They choked and gave up the game to the Lions, but they're going against the Colts this week, who absolutely got hammered by the Rams. Rams who have a rookie quarterback. They have a running back who pretty much just looked bad last year. He came back like he was a rookie again and did pretty good. So I really like the Cardinals. I'm looking more at the passing game. Since David Johnson, it looks like he's going to be out for 2 to 3 months. A lot of people are going to be on the guy Williams for cheap, but the guy's small. I don't see him as an in-between-the-tackle type runner. I'm not too on him. Maybe as the week comes on, I'll look at him a little bit more. But I'm really more looking at Palmer to bounce back in this game. I'm looking for Fitzgerald to have a big game. He could have had a big game this past week. He got his targets. He got some catches. Problem is, he dropped a touchdown that was in the end zone. He was in the end zone, and that would have made the week monster. I had 100% shares of him. He didn't disappoint, but he didn't do nothing spectacular. This week, I'm going right back to the well with Fitzgerald. His price just hasn't caught up with his production. Next, I'm looking at the Raiders. They're going against the Jets. The Jets are just bad. This game has a 43.5 over and under, with the Raiders being a 14 14-point favorite. 14 points. And Raiders, they looked good last week going against the Titans. Their offense looked really good. I think everybody's in play. I think this is going to be a lopsided game. I really like Carr. I like Cooper. I like Crabtree. Marshawn Lynch is probably going to eat. Raiders are going to get up early. They're going to want to hand him the ball and kind of, keep the clock moving, get the game in and out, get a win, and move on. So I really like the Raiders against the Jets. So let's look at a couple players that I'm kind of eyeing this week, just, from first glance. Running backs, we went expensive last week, thinking that's kind of how we had to go. That's how we did all the season before, and we had great success. This year, there's some running backs who are going to be in the mid-tier. They look really good. My favorite play this week is probably going to be Cooks for Minnesota Vikings. The dude had a monster game yesterday. I really like him a lot. His price hasn't caught up to him yet. So Cooks, I think he's going to be almost a lock for cash games. Like I said, this is early in the week, so I'm not sure yet, but I like him. I'm also like Hunt for the Chiefs. He had a monster game. I don't think he's going to repeat the game that he had last week, but I think that he's going to be a decent source of fantasy production moving forward. Fournette looks pretty good. Problem with Fournette is he has Blake Bortles as quarterback, and Bortles just sucks. So defenses are going to end up stacking the box against Fournette. It's going to make it a little bit more tougher for him, but he looked good, and I like him. And also to McCaffrey for the Carolina Panthers. They just pretty much wanted to give him the ball every single time. So if he's going to continue getting the targets, getting the carries that he was getting last week, you got to like McCaffrey. In fantasy, carries, targets, that equals the fantasy production, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys who get the absolute most targets, the absolute most carries on their team. So you got to like McCaffrey. I'm going to talk about a guy who was disappointing a little bit. I'm going to talk about Bell. It was a weird script. I think that what happened with Bell was that he didn't play much preseason, so they were trying to, maybe he's a little bit out of shape. They're trying to limit to, what kind of things that he had to do. They relied heavily on Brown. Brown went off. Bell, he averaged, I think, 22 carries a game last year. He had 7 this game. Bell, he's absolutely crushed the Browns throughout his career. So it was just kind of weird. I think Bell will definitely get back on track. I don't know if it'll be this week just because he's going against a tough defense. But I do like Bell still, on the higher end. And, I don't think that what he did this week is what's going to happen this season. I think it was a weird week overall. A lot of offensives they struggled. A lot of offensives struggled. And I think you can't really take too much away from this week. I think a lot of teams are definitely going to bounce back next week. Wide receiver-wise, top of the board, Brown, he did good last week. Never count him out. I really like him again this week. You seen Diggs and Thielen. They both went over 100 yards. They got massive targets. Bradford looked very good. So if they're going to continue getting those targets and their price is going to stay relatively where it's at, I think both of those guys are great plays again this week. You got Fitzgerald. He got his targets, like I said earlier. He missed a touchdown, but I think he's a really good cash game play again this week. You have Jeffrey. He was kind of shadowed by Josh Norman most of the game. He ended up getting a late touchdown. But I like Jeffrey. Wentz looked good, and I think Jeffrey's going to have a big year this year. And I think this week it's going to start, he could have a monster again this week. And I really like Jeffrey. Another guy I like too is I like Terrell Pryor. He got a lot of targets. I think he got 11 targets total. We were on him last week. He didn't have the best game, but he didn't have the worst game. He dropped a touchdown in the end zone, but that touchdown would have been called back by holding anyway, so it didn't really matter. But you still want to see him bring that in just so you know, hey, he's going to get it. He's going to make the most of his targets. But I am going to be targeting him again this year. Again this week. Kirk Cousins, he had a bad game. I expect him to bounce back. And last guy I'm going to talk about, tight end, is Ertz. Ertz did really well this week. Everybody expected him to do well, and he did. He didn't disappoint. We had a lot of them, and he brought us to some money. So I think he's another guy you got to definitely keep on your radar. I do like Zach Ertz again this week. And then just quick overlook. I'm going to give you the top 8 teams. You got the Patriots. They're expected to score the most runs. The most points this week. Next, we got the Raiders. They're second. You got the Seahawks with the third highest, implied total. We got Falcons number 4, Chiefs number 5, Arizona number 6, Steelers number 7, and Green Bay number 8. So those are the top 8 offenses this week that are expected to score the most points. So yeah, that's just my preview. I'll be back tomorrow with our quarterback video to kind of get you guys going for the week. Please, like our videos, share our videos. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. We want to help you guys make money, and we want to grow our channel at the same time. We're doing this for you guys, putting a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of work into these videos. So help us out, all right? So thanks, and you guys have a good day. Take care.